Afreximbank is one of the strategic sponsors and partners of CARIFESTA 15. This is part of a broader engagement that Afreximbank is promoting in terms of the collaboration between Africa and the Caribbean. As you know, we have 13 CARICOM member states who are now members of Afreximbank. And on the back of that, we are promoting, of course, trade and investment between Africa and the Caribbean. And within that context, creative industries is very important because we have vast pools of talent in Africa, in the Caribbean, of young people who are talented in fashion, in film, in music, and so on. So the bank established the Creative Africa Nexus program with the view of promoting these industries, ensuring that they are bankable and can monetize, bring commercial value from these industries into our economies, creating jobs for our young people. So in that overall context, we're here in Barbados, part of this CARIFESTA. We're not the only African institution that has come here. There are other African actors, creatives, and businesses that are also here to strengthen that collaboration from a creative and cultural industries perspective.
From your perspective, what areas within the creative industries in Barbados and wider Caribbean appear most promising for investment and growth?
We're starting from a low base. So I would say right across, if you look at the potential of film, if you look at the potential of music, even fashion. One of our programs as Afreximbank under what we call our CANEX Presents Africa initiatives, where we take fashion designers from what we can call Global Africa, from Africa, the Caribbean, and the wider diaspora, to places like Portugal, to places like Paris and New York and other fashion weeks. You find that even the Caribbean fashion designers are holding their own alongside other international fashion designers. So I would say, if you look at it, film, music, sports, even gastronomy, there are key areas that have got a huge upside potential for growth in the Caribbean region. And how can I forget sports? Sports is big here. Look at the cricket, the field and track. These are all sectors, subsectors of the creative industries that, if well managed and if well supported, have the potential to really significantly contribute to the regional economy, but also in terms of collaboration with Africa. These are the key areas where there's nothing that stops a designer in the Caribbean looking at extending their market into Africa. It shouldn't be the case. There's nowhere where that is stopping, from a film perspective, co-productions between African and Caribbean filmmakers. There's nothing that is stopping it. So being here as part of that and being part of those conversations is going to ensure that these sectors that at the moment are only showing potential, in due time we really realize the gains tangibly from an economic perspective.
One of the most consistent challenges for creatives in the region particularly is access to funding. How can Afreximbank support the Caribbean's creative sector in overcoming this?
As African Export-Import Bank, we provide financing for the creative industries. We have a $2 billion facility that is targeted at music, film, and other subsectors of the creative industry. So those are loans, can be guarantees, advisory services, and so on. We work with a lot of financial intermediaries in order to execute, and those conversations are also being had with financial intermediaries in the Caribbean, because we do know that creatives need to access funding. It's like having a seed without water to nourish it. So financing is very important. Beyond debt, we are also providing equity. We launched the CANEX Creations Incorporated. The CANEX Creations Incorporated really is the investment part of CANEX, because we realize that in most cases, in some cases, it might not be debt. It might need equity. You might need a bit of investment in order to push the brand forward. because most of our businesses in the creative industries are small, most of them are informal. So the traditional means of supporting industry might not apply themselves in the creative industries. So we're always looking for ways to bank the creatives. Grants is not something that we are big on as a bank, but we do provide some minimal grants. But as a player in the sector when it comes to financing, what we do is to look at these industries these businesses as viable, as commercial entities, as entrepreneurial. So we're providing solutions that are tailored to ensure that we're able to meet the creatives at a point where we can help them grow their businesses given the limitations and challenges that they're facing. So whether it's a pre-production when it comes to film, production and post-production, we'll look at all those different elements. Whether in fashion, whether it comes to the production, distribution, and so on. So you look at, even in some cases, factoring, supply chain financing, and so on. So we're looking at all these, we look at all these different types of approaches to providing financing, given the peculiarities in the creative and cultural industries. There's nothing that is really stopping. It's not really a question of logistics. Yes, air links are important. The sea link is important, and that is coming. Look, centuries ago, we had slave trade. They crossed the seas, and it was a painful episode in our lives. You fast forward today, we simply have no excuse. We have technology. At the click of a button, you can be in a meeting, in a conference, in a conversation with Africans on the continent. So Africans on the continent and Africans here in the Caribbean can connect at any time because it's technology enabled. You can produce a movie here and a movie in Africa and connect it. Collaboration can happen in almost any sector at the moment, whether it's animation, whether it's literature, whether it's sports, whether it's gastronomy. We can collaborate. What we are doing is through platforms like CARIFESTA, through platforms like Africa Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum, through the Intra-African Trade Fair, is to address the issue of knowledge gap. The private sector here, the creatives here, the creators, may not know who their counterparts in Africa are. Similarly, the creatives on the continent might not know who their counterparts in CARICOM are. So to address this knowledge gap, we have platforms like the Intra-African Trade Fair, which brings together buyers and sellers from all over the world in all sectors so that they can connect, they can network and establish business connections. Because while we have competitiveness and capacity to produce in certain goods and services in the Caribbean, but also in Africa, we may not know where the market opportunity is. So IATF deals with that by providing a market. So if you are in the Caribbean and you want one point where you can interface with Africa, you don't have the resources to fly to the 55 African countries, but you want to meet Africa at one go and explore all the markets that constitute Africa, the IATF is the place to be, because you meet all the industry leaders, you meet all the countries have a pavilion there. You can move from Nigeria to Kenya to Rwanda to South Africa in one afternoon and engage with the different players. So it's not just creatives, it's those who are in the auto, those who are in agriculture, those who are in agro-processing and so on. They are all in one place. Manufacturing, they're all in one place. So over 2,000 exhibitors, over 35,000 visitors. It is the huge marketplace for Africa. And this year, for the second time at IATF, we also have the Global Africa Diaspora Day, where we are focusing on the relationship between Africa, its diaspora, including the Caribbean. And we will have heads of state from the Caribbean and from Africa speaking at that forum. There will be a focus on gastronomy, the food that we share. There'll be a focus on our exhibition, the goods that we're selling to each other. And there'll be an opportunity to expand markets into each other's markets, because we have brought the different players from the different sectors under one canopy, and ensuring that we deal once and for all with the trade information problem.